Hope everyone's doing out there is doing great today. Welcome to class number 180. Let's go ahead and get started. So, single stick. Let's go ahead and get some dynamic movements in, get the body moving. All right, so let's get into that horse stance. Nice wide base with the feet. Drop those hips down. Place the stick at 12 o'clock with the bottom of the stick slightly angled in towards you. Stack the hands chest level. From here, let's push the stick into the floor at about 40 to 50% of your max effort. Let's feel that deep front line really light up. Once we're in that position, let's get those hips grooving. So we're going to inhale. We're going to go anterior pelvic tuck, which means we're going to push that hip straight back. And then we're going to exhale and then tuck the pelvis under. So the bottom of the pelvis is rolling forward and the top is rolling back. Inhale, let's push the butt backwards. Exhale, and tuck that pelvis underneath you. Inhale, push the butt back. Exhale, drive the pelvis under. Inhale, butt back. Exhale, tuck the pelvis under. Now hold that position, release it just a little bit. Bring your hips back to more neutral position. And now we're going to do our lateral bumps. So bump the hip to the left. So I'll square up so you guys can see. Keep the torso still, it's just in the hips. Bump the hip to the right. Make sure you're not rotating the hips. You can tell if you're rotating the hips because one knee will slide forward. Your knees should stay level. So if you look down, you should be able to see that your knees are staying nice and still and level. Bumping left, bumping right. Remember, this is just a big part of your natural gait pattern. When you're walking, your hips do need to move laterally. Right, one more left, one more right. Now let's bring the hips back to center and let's get those circles going. So tuck the pelvis underneath you and we're going to start clockwise. Pushing out to 3, pushing the butt back to 6, over to 9, and then tuck it back to 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. Keep the torso nice and still. This is just in the hips, so less is more. If you're moving a lot more of your body, we don't want that. Just get those hips moving. All right, let's reverse. Let's go counterclockwise. 9, 6, 3, 12. Let's go 2 more. 9, 6, 3, 12. 1 more. 9, 6, 3, and 12. All right, give those hips just a little bit of rest. Now let's get into the spine. So we're going to do a child's pose, and then from there we're going to get into that cat-cow, get that spine moving through flexion and extension. Let's take about a little wider than shoulder width stance. Place the stick a little bit further away from you at 12 o'clock. Make sure you switch hand position, which hand you place on top. Hands just about eyeball level. Push the stick into the floor about 40 to 50% of your max effort, and let's sink into that child's pose. Push the hips backwards. We have a soft angle at the knee, so the lower leg bone stays nice and still, so no extension or flexion at the ankles. Sink the hips backwards. Try to decrease this hip angle right here, right where the stomach comes down to the hips, or the quads, sorry. Lower your sternum down towards the floor. Stay in that position. And now let's go into that cat. Push the spine up towards the ceiling. Tuck that pelvis underneath. And now let's go down into that cow. Let's really sink that stomach down. Let's go into that extension. Breathe. Back up into that cat. Tuck that pelvis. Let that back round. You can tuck the chin. Back into the cow. Sink that stomach down. Bring your chin up. 1 more. Round that back. Tuck that pelvis. Tuck the chin. And then back down to the floor. Really push that butt back. Sink that stomach down. And come back up. Excellent. So there's some spinal extension and flexion. Now let's go into some lateral flexion. Let's do that from a seated position this morning. So let's go ahead and have a seat. We're going to get into that frog straddle. All right, so we're going to use those adductors a little bit here. In this position, we can lock the hips in so you get a much truer read on what your spinal flexion and extension, lateral flexion extension is. So place the stick under the balls of the feet. And as you can see here, I'm grabbing the stick with my toes. So I want to imagine that those are my fingers and my lower extremities. Overhand grip on the stick. Let's pull the spine nice and tall. So we're not arching the back. We're just imagining someone has a string at the top of the head and is pulling you upright. And as you do that, you should feel tension driving into the hips and adductors. From here, simply just start to push the knees away from each other. And now, flex your right shoulder and ribs down to your right hip. Let your head tilt. You should feel contraction on your left side, expansion on your left, contraction on your right. Now let's go in the opposite direction so you can feel how the floor helps keep your hips nice and set and stable. Back to the right. Let your head tilt. That's part of that spine. Breathe. You're pulling tension into that stick, so you're not leaning forward. One more to each side. Right. Breathe. You're still pushing those knees away from each other. One more to the left. Hold and breathe. Back to center and relax. All right, come on back up. Okay. Now let's get a little bit of arm line hanging in and we'll add some rotation into that. So get those spiral lines fired up. So let's bring your feet about 5 or 6 inches apart from each other. Let's place that stick at 3 o'clock. Reach up with that right hand, okay? Reach across with your left hand, grab the stick about sternum level. With your right leg, lift that up, step behind and across your midline. Stay on the last 3 digits primarily with weight bearing on that back foot. Actively push that back foot into the floor. And now hang a little bit and then reach across your body to the left. Look to the left. Come back to center. Ease off the weight on the stick. Ready? And again, drop your weight down onto the stick. You're going to feel that right arm take load and rotate to the left. You're still actively pushing that right foot into the floor. Don't just hang out on the joints. Back to center. Take weight off the stick. One more. Here we go. Drop and hang and rotate to the left. Back to center. All right, let's switch sides. Okay. Moving that stick to 9 o'clock. Left hand up. Bring your right hand across sternum level. Take that left foot, bring it up, and reach across and behind your midline. Actively push those left toes into the floor. Put weight onto that left arm and rotate to the right. Back to center. Okay, ready? And again, put weight onto that left arm and rotate to the right. Back to center. One more, ready? Take weight onto the left arm and rotate to the right. Actively still pushing those left toes into the floor. And relax. Good. All right, let's get some thoracic rotation in. Take that stick and place it behind your back in the crooks of your elbows. Let's take a nice wide base with the feet too, all right? From here, let's sink into your hinge. So you're pushing the hips straight back. So really drive those hips backwards. Now from here, take that right hand, I'm waving my right hand, reach down and try to reach behind to grab your right hamstring. If you're using the long stick, that stick will hit the floor. That's okay, perfectly fine, just let it stay there. You're still getting that nice thoracic rotation that we're looking for. Come back up. And now the left hand, I'm waving my left hand, reach inside and try to reach around and grab your left hamstring. Breathe. If you can, try to stay nasal breathing. Come back up. Let's go a couple more times each side. Right hand reaching down and behind to grab that right hamstring. You can actually push that hand in to get a little bit more leverage. Back to the other side, so reaching down and behind with that left hand. Try to keep your weight centered on your hips too. One more to each side. Let's go back to the other side. Back to center and relax. Okay. Now, let's do some lateral bow and arrows, but we're going to do these more dynamically. We're not going to hold it because we just want to open up the lateral lines to start with. Okay, let's set your feet about shoulder width apart. We have that stick at 3 o'clock. Right elbow is about 90 degrees. Left hand up and over. Remember, keep those hips square. You don't want rotation right now. All right. Push the hips out to 9 o'clock, and then let's move that stick out to 3. Let your head tilt. Legs are straight. No bending the knees, and come back. Rotate the stick slightly. Here we go. Rep 2. We're going to get 5 of these. Hips out, stick out. Let the head tilt. Breathe. Come back. Rotate the stick slightly. Rep 3. Hips, then stick. Come back up. Rotate the stick slightly. Rep 4. Hips, then stick. Come back. Rep 5. Hips, stick. All right. Let's switch sides. Moving that stick to 9 o'clock. Left elbow is about 90 degrees. Reach over the top with the right hand. Legs straight. Push the hips out to 3. Stick out to 9. Let that head tilt. Come back. Rotate the stick slightly. Here we go. Hips. Stick. Come back. Hips. Stick. Come back. Rotate the stick. Hips. Stick. One more. Ready? Rotate the stick. Hips, and then stick. All right, nice. Now let's get some reverse bow and arrows in so we can strengthen that lateral tissue line. Let's go back to that right side. So the stick is at 3 o'clock. This time the bottom of the stick is a lot farther away from you. So the top of the stick is coming in towards the top of your head. Reach over the top. Push the hip out first, and now with that right hand, pull that elbow in towards your ribs. That top arm is trying to push away. Ease off, and again, push your hip out, and now pull the stick towards you. Ease off. 3 more reps. Hips, and then pull the stick in. Ease off. 2 more. Ready? Hips, and then pull the stick in. Ease off. 1 more. Ready? Hips, and then pull the stick in. And relax. Let's switch to the other side. Stick is at 9 o'clock. Reach over the top with the right hand. Ready? Push the hips out to 3, and now pull that stick in with your left elbow. Drive the left elbow towards your left hip. Ease off, hip, and then pull the stick in. That top arm is trying to extend. Ease off, rep 3, hip, and then pull in. Ease off, rep 4, hip, and then pull in. Ease off, last one, hip, and then pull in. And relax. Very nice. Okay. Now, let's grab a pad for your knee, couch cushion, whatever you have available to you. If this is too difficult for you from starting from the ground up, you can do the reverse and start in the standing position and drop down, especially if you have chronic knee issues. Starting from the ground up is probably going to be way too much stimulus for you. So do the opposite of what we're talking about. Here's an example. So we're going to be in a lunge position. We're going to use that stick to activate the deep front line, and then we're going to hover that back knee. If that's too much stress, then you start from the top, push the stick down, and then you just gently, nice and slowly, just like an elevator, drop straight down towards the floor, and then go to an angle that's going to be okay for you and not overstimulating that connective tissue. All right, so let's start with the left leg back. Stick is at 12 o'clock, bottom of the stick slightly angled towards you. Left hand on top. Ready? Push the stick into the floor at about 50 to 60% of your max effort. Breathe. Make sure this back hip is in extension, no flexion. Build up to 70. Build up to 80. And now hover. Your weight can shift a little bit to your right leg. That's perfectly fine. Breathe, push. Your back knee should just be a couple inches off the floor. And ease off. Okay, ready? And again, push. Let's start at about 70% tension this time. Breathe. And now hover. With your front foot, try to create a little scooping motion. So that way that'll help really develop that arch. You're going to feel the lateral part of the right foot. Ease off. We mean the outer part near the pinky side. Okay, ready? Here we go. Rep 3. Push. Lats are engaged. Feel the shoulder blades pulling down. Pushing about 80%. And now hover. Make sure you're actively pushing the back left toes into the floor. Don't just hang out on the joints. Breathe. And relax. Excellent. Let's switch sides. Right knee down. Remember, if it's too much connective tissue stimulus, drop down, don't push up. So now right hand is on top. Okay, ready? Start at 50%, push. Breathe, build to 70. And now hover. Ease off. Okay, ready? Rep 2, push. Make sure you maintain that hip extension. If you have a mirror or something you can look at, make sure that you see, or you're using your camera, you can see yourself, make sure that hip's in extension. Hover. Create that little scooping effect with that lead foot, that left foot. Ease off. Okay, rep 3, here we go. Push, give me 80%, drive into the floor. You try to put a hole in that floor. Ready? Hover. Your weight's going to shift a little bit to the left leg. That's perfectly fine. Make sure you're actively pushing those right toes into the floor. And relax. Okay, now let's add some rotation to that same movement. Let's go back to that left leg. Okay. This time we're going to keep the stick just in the left hand only. So your stick is going to be at about 11 o'clock, just a little off center from the 12 o'clock position. Okay, Push the stick into the floor. Drive it down. Give yourself about 80% of your max effort. And now hover. Right arm extended out in front. And now let's rotate to the right. Try to reach back to your 6. Come back and relax. That was a lot of fun, huh? Let's add a little bit more to this. Ready? Here we go. 2 more reps. Push. Drive that stick down about 80% of your max effort. Feel that left lat engaging. Hover. Right arm. Reach back to your 6. Breathe. Now let's reach up to the ceiling. Overhead. And now let's come back down in front and relax. 1 more. Here we go. Ready? Push. Give about 80% max effort. And now hover. Right arm. Reach back to your 6. Reach up. Overhead. Let your eyes follow your hand. Come back down and relax. Let's switch sides. Woo, it's getting a little warm in here. Okay. Stick is about 1 o'clock, a little off center from the 12 o'clock position. Right hand on the stick, give about 70-80%, pushing that stick into the floor. Push. And now hover. Left arm in front, reach back to that 6. Come back to center. Relax. Okay. Rep 2. Only rotate as far as you can handle. If you feel this front leg rolling out too far, then you want to make sure that you keep that hip square. Okay, ready? Push. 80%. Hover. Left arm, reach for the 6. Now up and over. Look at the hand. And then drop it down. Okay, last rep. Here we go. Ready? Push, 80%. Hover. Reach. Up and over. And back down. Whew. All right. Okay, put that back. Now for this one, we get to lay down, all right? So let's do some core work, some dead bug tissues. Okay, let's lay down on your back. So we're in that facing the ceiling. Let's bring that left hip up into flexion. We're going to place the end of the stick on top of the left foot. Stick is in the right hand. Your left hand is behind you. Make sure that your right hip is not shut down and externally rotated. Make sure it's activated and the hip is in neutral position. Squish that little marshmallow with the small of your back, pulling the ribs and hips together. Push the stick into the top of the foot at about 70%. And now lift the right heel 1 inch. Lift your head 1 inch. And lift your left hand 1 inch. Breathe. Ease off. Bring your leg down for a second. Give it a little bit of a rest. So we're going to hold these for about 6 to 10 seconds so that we can build up better stamina. Alrighty? Stick at the top of the left foot. Make sure your hip is at 90 degrees on that left hip. Squish that little marshmallow with the small of your back. Push the stick into the foot at about 80%. And now hover the right foot. Tuck the chin, lift the head 1 inch. And now lift the left hand 1 inch. Push. Breathe. No holding your breath. Push. Relax. All right, let's get one more rep. All righty, here we go. Squish that little marshmallow. Push the stick into the foot at about 80%. Hover the right foot. Lift the head 1 inch. And now lift the left hand 1 inch. Breathe. And relax. Very nice. In this position, if you have trouble, if you have a shoulder impingement or something that prevents you from bringing your off hand into that overhead position, simply decrease the angle to where your shoulder accepts that. So if your shoulder is okay with your off arm out at 90 degrees, then so be it, that's where you stay. If you can come up a little bit higher, great. But find out which angle is suffice for your shoulder and stay there, all right? So let's switch sides. Stick is at the top of the right foot. Place the stick in the left hand. Make sure that left hip is neutral position. Squish that little marshmallow with the small of your foot, or small of your back. Push the stick into the top of the right foot about 80%. Hover that left foot. Tuck your chin, lift your head 1 inch, and now lift your right hand. Breathe. And relax. Okay, ready? Give it a couple seconds. Ready? Here we go. Rep 2. Squish that marshmallow with the small of your back. Drive the stick into the top of the foot, 80%. And now hover. Left hand, left foot, head, and right hand. Breathe. Keep that marshmallow squished. Do not lose that. Ease off. Okay, ready? One more rep. Here we go. Squish that little marshmallow. Push. Drive 80% into the top of the right foot. Hover the left foot. Tuck your chin, lift your head, and right hand 1 inch off the ground. Push. Breathe. And relax. Woo! That'll wake you up. All right. Okay. Now, let's get into some stretching. Okay. Let's start with the ninja flow. All right. So, once again, with this, when we're doing some stretching, really try to slow your breathing down. Nasal breathing in and out throughout the nose. That'll help enhance your stretching so you can get into greater ranges of motion. All right. Let's take a nice wide base with the feet. Let's start with the stick at 9 o'clock. So it's right inside that left instep. Left hand, we're just about top of the head level. We're going to push that stick into the floor at about 30% of your max effort. Do not let that arm change from that slot. So what I mean by that is it's not rolling forward or pulling backward a little bit more. And also don't let the hand slide down from its locked position. Hinge, sink into your hips. Decrease the angle between your stomach, your belly button, and your quads. Keep your weight centered. Breathe. Imagine there's a shiny red button right there at the ground. You're trying to actively reach for it because you just need to press that shiny red button. Now reach across without shifting your weight and grab the stick with the thumbs down grip. And now lunge laterally to your right leg. Breathe. Look up at your left hand. Full inhale, full exhale. Come back to center. Shift to your left leg laterally. Push that right foot into the floor. You see how I'm keeping the outer part of that right foot driving into the ground. I'm looking back at my foot. You're feeling this adductor open up. It's okay for this bottom elbow to flex a little bit, perfectly fine. Back to center. Now let's change the grip. Take your left hand or right hand, invert it so you're grabbing the stick. Overhand grip. Lunge laterally to your right leg. And now push the stick out to 9 o'clock with that right hand. You should be reflexively gripping and pulling with that left arm because you're actively pushing with the right. Now lunge laterally to your left hip. You're still actively pushing with that right arm. Back to center and relax. Whew. Let's switch to the right side. Stick is at 3 o'clock, right inside that right instep. Hand is just about top of the head level. Give me 30% effort pushing the stick into the floor. And now let's hinge. Hips straight back. Reach, actively reach with that left hand. We're trying to hit that shiny red button down there. Breathe. Feel that stretch through that front of the right arm line, the chest, the shoulder, maybe a little bicep, wherever you're tightest. Now reach across without shifting weight. Grab the stick with the thumbs down grip. And now laterally lunge to your left leg. Look up at the ceiling. Breathe. Shift weight back to center. And now shift weight to your right leg. Actively push the outer part of that left foot down into the floor. Look back at that left foot. Feel that adductor line right here. Back to center. Now, invert your grip, so overhand grip on the stick. And now lunge laterally to your left leg and actively push out with that left arm. Now shift weight to that right leg, still actively pushing with that left arm. Look back at your left foot. Breathe. Come back to center and relax. Whew, all right. Now, let's grab that couch cushion again or knee pad that you need. Okay. We're going to attack the front of the hip right here and also get into the psoas, add a little bit of rotation. So let's go left knee down first on the pad. Make sure your lower leg bone and upper leg bone are in line with each other. So we don't want to see external rotation of the front hip, of the left hip. So if you look back, you should see that they're in alignment. Take that stick, place it in the left hand so it's directly in line with the left quad. Take the top of the stick and angle it towards you. Reach up with that left hand. Only reach up as high as you can without having to go into your lumbar spine. So keep the ribs and the pelvis locked together. Take that right hand, come across and grab the stick at sternum level. Extend your back ankle so the top of the foot is on the floor. At 30% effort, push the stick into the floor with the left hand. Push the top of the left foot down into the floor. Squeeze that left glute and give me a posterior pelvic tuck. So the bottom of the pelvis is pushing forward and the top is rolling back. It's like turning a door handle counterclockwise or clockwise. Breathe. You should feel the front of this hip right now. Now with the right hand, gently push up on the stick. So you're shortening the stick. And as you do that, you're actively feeling that increased drive into the left hip. And now we're going to reverse that. Pull apart on the stick and push back with that left foot. So you're trying to drive that left leg backwards and you're trying to lengthen the stick. You should feel an active lengthening of that left tissue line. Keep that pelvis tucked. And now contract. Now we're doing the opposite. Remember, when we put connective tissue and muscles into a lengthened state, we do need to be able to create force in that lengthened state so they have better resiliency. They need to be strong when they're long. And now again, actively lengthen. Keep your trap down, so don't let your trap elevate up. Remember, just about 30% of your max effort. Ease off. Give yourself a little bit of rest. We'll add the rotation. We'll switch legs and then come back and add the rotation. Switch sides. Right knee down. Okay. Remember, check your hip position. Make sure you're not externally rotated. Stick is in line with your right quad. Top of the stick is angled in. Reach up with that right arm. Left arm comes across and grabs the stick about sternum level. Push the stick into the floor with your right hand, about 30% of your max effort. Push the top of the right foot down into the floor. Squeeze that right glute and give me a posterior pelvic tuck. If you're looking at your right hip, imagine someone's trying to turn your hip counterclockwise like a doorknob. Breathe, and now push up with the left hand. So you're trying to shorten the stick. Full inhale, full exhale. And now lengthen the stick. You're trying to pull the stick apart, and you're trying to push the floor back with your right foot, right leg. You should actually reflexively feel your left foot trying to push forward to help you drive the right leg back. And now shorten the stick again. So you're trying to shorten everything, contract the tissue. And now lengthen the tissue. And relax. Okay, let's go back to the left side, and we're going to add some rotation this time, all right? Okay, left hand up. Stick is in line with the left quad. Grab the stick with your right hand, sternum level. Give me 30% tension, pushing the stick down with the left hand. Push the top of the left foot down, posterior pelvic tuck. Feel the front of the hip. Shorten the stick, so you're pushing up with the right hand. And now actively retract or pull back with that right shoulder. And as you do that, that'll help pull you into rotation to the right. Come back, ease off. Okay, ready? Lengthen this time. Top arm is pushing up. Left leg is driving back. Posterior pelvic tuck. You're lengthening the stick, and now again, go into rotation. Come back, ease off. All right, let's go back to that right side. Right hand up, left hand across, sternum level. Push the stick down with the right hand, push the top of the right foot down, squeeze the right glute, posterior pelvic tuck, and shorten the stick. Left hand is pushing up, and now as it pushes up, simultaneously retract the left scapula and let that pull you into rotation to the left. Ease off. Okay, ready? Now actively lengthen. Push up, pull apart on the stick. Push back with the right foot. And now rotate. You're trying to lengthen, actively lengthen everything. Breathe. Come back to center and relax. All right. Okay, now let's finish up with a nice longer hold on that lateral bow and arrow. Set your feet about shoulder width apart. Place the stick at 3 o'clock. If you have really good range of motion, lateral through the lateral tissue line, you can always bring the bottom of the stick closer to your midline. You're still going to create that arc appropriately so you're not overflexing the stick because your hip is, once again, always pushing out first. So for most of you, set your stick at 3 o'clock, about 6 to 8 inches away from your midfoot. I'm actually going to pull mine in so that you can see that progressed version. Reach over the top with that left hand, push your hip out first, and then drive the stick away to 3 o'clock. Legs stay straight. At no point are you leaning on the stick. If the stick were to suddenly disappear, you should be perfectly fine to hold the position you're in. Breathe. Nice full inhale. Nice full exhale. Ease off, rotate the stick slightly, and again, push your hip out, drive the stick away. Full inhale, full exhale. Ease off. Good. Let's switch sides. Okay, right hand over the top, push your hip out first, drive the stick away second, let your head tilt, and breathe. Legs are straight, no flexing the knees, especially the leg that's closest to the stick. A lot of times we'll see people flexing that knee, it means they're leaning on the stick. Ease off. Okay, rotate the stick slightly. And again, last rep. Push your hip out first. Drive the stick away second. Ease off. Woo. Excellent work today, everyone. Thank you as always for joining us. We appreciate, love everyone out there. Thank you for the support. As always, this workout will be transferred to our YouTube channel. So this is workout number 180. You can always go back, repeat everything all the other workouts, or mark a workout in your library, add it to your library if you really enjoyed one, and you can use that to go back and repeat. We got a new podcast coming out. We just had one with Al Painter about biking. So for you cycling enthusiasts out there, that's probably a good listen for you. We got Paul Edmondson coming up in our next podcast. we'll be talking about one of everybody's favorite subjects, hypertrophy, muscle growth. So until next workout, everyone out there, be good to each other. Take care.